Megillah explains why don't we say Hallel on Purim, although it's only a rabbinical holiday, Yom Tiv. Chanukah we say Hallel, we say complete Hallel. So why in Purim don't we say Hallel? So Rav Nachman answers that the actual reading of the Megillah is Kriyos Zuei Hallelo, that the reading of the Megillah is the equivalent of the Hallel. So the question is, how is it the equivalent of the Hallel? The Maharal explains, not this particular point, but he discusses, we rule halacha that when you hear the Megillah, when you say the Megillah, you read it, you have to read from the first word to the last word. And if any of the words are omitted, or even a letter is not said, one is not yotzei, one does not fulfill his obligation of the reading of the Megillah. So he explains why. Why is this the case? So he explains that there are many events which took place in the Megillah which could be dismissed as happenstance. For instance, we know the Gemara tells us that Vashti, who was the granddaughter of Nebuchadnezzar, she was a rabid anti-Semite. She was a marshas. We curse her. And yet, how she dies, she's put to death by her husband. And the Gemara explains her husband had made an unusual request. He had asked that she should come before all the people, unclothed, in a naked state. Because the Gemara says she's one of the most beautiful women who ever lived. He wanted to show her beauty, but still, what kind of behavior was this? He did say that's the type of person he was, but the Gemara tells us it was Mida Keneged Mida, that Vashti, she would have Jewish girls attending to her needs, and she would make them serve in a naked state to disgrace them. So measure for measure, Hashem says your husband is going to make a request, which ultimately will bring about your death, which was what happened. And who replaces her? Esther. She doesn't reveal her pedigree, her birth, source of birth, secret. She happens to be a Jewess. So here, two extremes. Extreme evil is being replaced by a tzaddikas, a devoutly righteous woman. And who happens to be her uncle? Mordechai. You say these things happen. Happens. This woman is taken out, happens to be a Jewish woman. It happens to be her uncle is Mordechai, member of the Sanhedrin, understands 70 languages, Bigson the Serish, the gatekeepers of the king. They plot to poison him, and because they speak a language they believe nobody would understand, happened to be it was within the earshot of Mordechai, who understood 70 languages, and therefore he was able to communicate this, and he had a direct line to the king through Esther Malka. And it happens to be, it's recorded in the Chronicles of the King, and it goes from one thing to the next to the next. And it's literally each piece falls in exactly, perfectly. So if one incident you can dismiss, these things happen. It's happenstance. But if they keep repeating themselves in a specific pattern and there's a picture being formed, then you understand this is the Yad Hashem. One of the reasons given why the Shem Hashem is not mentioned, although it's part of the Ksuvim, it's the Megillah, the name of Hashem is not mentioned because the whole concept, the whole issue was Anochi Haste Ponai. God was in concealment. It was a nes, it was a concealed miracle. Therefore, the name of Hashem is not mentioned in the Megillah Esther for this reason. So therefore, if you don't read the complete Megillah, you leave any detail out, you don't see the full picture. And to be able to appreciate the Persumei Nisa, the publicizing of the miracle, which is the reading of the Megillah, you have to read it from the first letter to the last letter. Anything's omitted, you don't fully grasp what happened. Now, what is Hallel? Hallel is when you come to a certain degree of understanding and you're touched by something special, one expresses himself with Hallel, you sing the praises of Hashem. The reading of the Megillah itself, when you read those words and you express those words are the equivalent of Hallel, because it is impossible that if you see the reality of what Hashem did for us and how every detail was pre-planned and how it happened, Therefore, it's impossible not to express, not to feel that thankfulness to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to sing His praises. So, one doesn't have to. Since the feeling is definitely there because of the level of appreciation, the way the Megillah was written, with every detail, each fact, therefore the Kriyoso is Hallel, and therefore Chazal didn't legislate Hallel on Purim.